After a while, they simply disappeared. No public appearances, no photos together. Jennifer Lopez began walking red carpets alone again, but something seemed off. Her gaze, her rigid body, her silence, her body language screamed what words wouldn't. And today, they are officially no longer a couple. For years, J-Lo maintained an impeccable image, discreet, elegant, above controversy. But court documents that recently emerged reveal a completely different narrative. This isn't a romantic comedy script. This is starting to sound like a real criminal case. And when we talk about judicial drama, it's impossible not to wonder, where is Jennifer Lopez in the midst of this hurricane? Since Cassie started to open Pandora's box about Diddy, J-Lo has simply vanished. She's avoided appearances, canceled commitments, and according to sources, might be hiding, perhaps even outside the United States. And it's no wonder Cassie, before the court, exposed a nightmare. She claimed Diddy wanted total control over her life, from what she wore to what she said, whom she spoke to, where she lived, what she owned. He paid for everything and used that as a tool for punishment. When she stepped out of line, he simply took everything away. But the control didn't end there. Cassie cried in court as she recounted how the relationship evolved into something much darker. Constant physical aggressions, punches, kicks, hair-pulling. She spoke of bruises, split lips, bumps on her forehead, and eyes that carried fear, and then came the so-called freak-offs. According to her testimony, in the first year of their relationship, Diddy introduced her to these encounters. He hired strippers, dancers, and even male escorts to have sex with her while he watched. These events lasted for days, 4 days in some cases. Cassie said she needed time to recover, both from substance use and physical fatigue. Ecstasy, ketamine, marijuana. She used all of it to numb herself to reality, to survive. I felt empty, useless, she said through tears. I did it to please him, but I just wanted to disappear. Most disturbingly, everything was orchestrated in every detail. Diddy ordered her to find the escorts, paid between $500 and $6,000 per session, and controlled everything from the room's lighting to how she should act during the encounters. Some of those involved, like Daniel Phillip, were identified in images presented in court. When asked if she ever felt pleasure at the freak-offs, Cassie hesitated. She said yes, but not because of what happened there. It was because on those days she could be close to Diddy. It was the only time he paid attention to me, she revealed. And it's precisely here that Jennifer Lopez's name returns with full force. She was with Diddy before all this happened. Before the complaints, before the investigations, before the downfall. If anyone saw Sean Combs' darkest side up close, it was her. She knew this man when he was already deep in chaos. And according to rumors, that's precisely why J-Lo is reportedly panicking at the possibility of being called to testify. They say she's fleeing justice and has taken refuge in a country with no extradition treaty, in case the net closes in. Because, let's be frank, what seemed impossible is now increasingly likely. Diddy is going to fall. If the feds decide to follow the trail and investigate who was by his side at those events, who saw, who participated, who covered up, J-Lo's name could appear among those involved. The question now hovering in the air is, was Jennifer Lopez a silent accomplice or just a collateral victim of the hurricane named Diddy? Leave your opinion in the comments. Do you think J-Lo is hiding something? Did she know much more than she let on? Or is she just paying the price for getting involved with the wrong man? Because the truth is, the house of cards is collapsing. And in Diddy's trial, the next name to fall could be much more famous than you imagine. And if you think this has already gone too far, wait until you discover what's behind Diddy's secret list, a dark document that, according to internal sources, contains the names of celebrities, entrepreneurs, and even politicians who allegedly attended his most sordid events. That list isn't just a rumor. It might be the key to understanding why so many powerful people are silent, and why so many feared Diddy might talk. If you want to know who's on that list, which names have already leaked, and why the FBI is desperate to get its hands on it. Click. Now on the video appearing on your screen. But proceed with caution. What you're about to hear could change everything you think you know about Hollywood. On the other side, Diddy faces his third attempt at provisional release after 2 judges denied his bail petition. He appealed to higher courts, hoping to convince the tribunal that he can face the proceedings freely. The difference this time is that he has assembled a heavyweight defense team. Names like Alexander Shapiro, a specialist in federal appeals, and Anthony Rico, who has worked on dozens of capital punishment cases. The mission is twofold. First, to secure bail. Second, to ensure that if convicted, he doesn't receive a disproportionate sentence. Meanwhile, court documents reveal extremely serious accusations: human trafficking, coercion, assault on women, and participation in a criminal network of intimidation and blackmail. The initial bail proposal, $50 million, severe travel restrictions, electronic monitoring, and even surrendering family passports, was not enough to convince the judges, who deemed it too risky to release him before trial. Thus, the courtroom battle has taken on the air of a true legal duel. On one side, a magnate accustomed to the red carpet. On the other, the machinery of justice tasked with dismantling every piece of this puzzle. And the question that resonates is, how far does the power and influence of these celebrities extend when it comes to facing the consequences of actions supposedly buried long ago? Stay tuned to discover the next twists in this cinema-worthy story, where glory and scandal intertwine almost inextricably. And in the end, feel free to comment. Do you think these new chapters can rewrite the destinies of Jennifer Lopez, Ben Affleck, and Diddy? Which side of this plot deserves more attention? Leave your opinion in the comments. We're talking about the video that surfaced in 2016, in which Diddy appears to be assaulting his then-girlfriend Cassie in a hotel hallway. That recording and other leaked fragments could profoundly influence the jury, jeopardizing the trial's impartiality. Since the images went viral, we've formed our own impressions of Diddy, and the criticism he's been receiving cannot be ignored. Despite the defense's insistence that the trial begin in April or early May, the judge determined it will start on May 5, 2025. So far, there's no decision on whether he will remain in custody until the trial begins. The latest bail request is still unresolved, and the chances of it being granted seem remote. This is because federal prosecutors are determined to keep Diddy detained while they provide the defense team with a gigantic volume of evidence against him. Against this backdrop, our guest Natanja shares a testimony that dates back to 1999 and now gains strength in light of recent events. As she took the stand, the emotional impact was evident. Tears, pauses to dry her face, and vivid descriptions of traumatic moments. In another surprising chapter of the litigation, Jennifer Lopez was implicated as a gun mule in an accusation involving a nightclub shooting in which rapper Shyne was allegedly made to take the blame, resulting in a decade in prison for him. Sources linked to federal authorities state that the investigation could expand to previous incidents, including inquiries in New York about the same episode. And although many were unaware of the extent of J-Lo's involvement, new evidence from Cassie Ventura suggests she might have acted directly in transporting a weapon, constituting complicity. According to the testimony, Cassie was forced to handle a loaded gun in public in an act that made her a piece in a dangerous puzzle. While J-Lo has maintained a low profile since the proceedings against Diddy began, the revelation of this alleged past explains her prolonged silence. The allegations go beyond mere arms transport. They point to lies, cover-ups, and even bribery. Jurors and witnesses. Court documents cite that in 1999, Jennifer Lopez allegedly entered a New York club with a revolver at Diddy's behest. That same night, 3 people were hit, including a woman who was shot in the face. This behavior of turning women into gun mules is not an isolated incident, but part of a pattern that has been emerging since the beginning of Diddy's career. As the defense tries to dismantle the public image that has been created, it becomes clear that J-Lo wasn't just in the wrong place at the wrong time. She allegedly collaborated actively, contributing to Shyne's framing, who always proclaimed his innocence. Witnesses claim that Shyne Barrow's image was deliberately tarnished. While he appears in prison photos with a dejected look, Diddy and Lopez were photographed in makeshift settings, a worn shirt, a blurred painting in the background, to plant the idea that they were mere strangers. The strategy was allegedly Machiavellian: create a narrative that diverted attention and manipulated public memory. Furthermore, internal testimonies like that of Gene Deal, former head of security for Bad Boy Records, reveal that Diddy harbored a deep hatred for Shyne. J-Lo, for her part, was involved in witness selection and even in buying favors to ensure a favorable verdict. Even after the shooting, Diddy and J-Lo allegedly acted as if nothing had happened, discarding Jennifer as soon as they achieved their goals, as if she were a disposable piece. The result? Both achieved the independence they sought. He consolidated his artistic empire. She launched herself even further into stardom. And now we want to hear from you. How do you think this web of stories will affect the jury's opinion and the careers of both? Leave your comment. You might be wondering if Jennifer Lopez was by Diddy's side that night in 1999. Why did she never set foot in court to testify? The answer to that goes far beyond what you imagine. According to singer Jaguar Wright, known for revealing explosive celebrity secrets, Diddy and J-Lo allegedly married in secret around that time, not for love, but for strategy. Yes, the goal was to prevent J-Lo from being forced to testify against him. As his legal wife, she would be protected by an ancient legal principle: spousal privilege, the right not to testify against one's spouse. And it worked. Jennifer escaped the judicial spotlight. Her hands remained clean, at least officially. But behind the scenes tells another story. Sources close to the couple say that although there are no public documents confirming this supposed marriage, everything was orchestrated with precision. Diddy knew exactly what he was doing, and J-Lo allegedly did too. Accounts even suggest she attended the infamous private parties he organized, the so-called freak-offs. And that's where the horror intensifies. According to one complaint, an officially unidentified female celebrity allegedly attended one of these gatherings where a girl, merely 13 years old, was forced to participate. The implication? J-Lo could have been that silent witness, and she wouldn't be the only one to bear that burden. A woman named Misa Hilton came forward with a devastating account. She claims J-Lo was present when Diddy allegedly subjected her to a traumatic episode at one of these parties. According to Misa, she even looked Jennifer in the eyes, seeking help. And what did she receive? An empty stare, no words, no attempt to help, nothing. She saw me, looked right at me. I was wide-eyed in shock, and she just turned her face, Misa recounted. If that's true, J-Lo has a lot to explain, because at this point in the story, it's no longer about association. It's about silent complicity, and it doesn't stop there. Years ago, J-Lo's ex-husband, Ojani Noah, also made heavy accusations. He claimed she not only frequented these gatherings, but was part of the inner circle. According to him, compromising recordings exist, the same ones that always surface when there's talk of hidden cameras, baby oil, and public figures in dark situations. Ojani didn't mince words. He said J-Lo's behind-the-scenes image is totally different from the elegant star on red carpets. Now, of course, ex-partners sometimes overshare. But when testimonies accumulate, Cassie, Misa, Ojani, Jaguar, and names reappear in court cases and federal files, it becomes hard to ignore the pattern. And what might come next? A real nightmare. For Jennifer Lopez, two legal sources revealed to the New York Post that the federal government could officially reopen the case of the 1999 New York club shooting. And if her name is linked to that episode, whether as an accomplice, witness, or something more serious, she too could be called to answer. Social media is already buzzing with this possibility. One user summed up the general sentiment. Everyone knew she carried the gun for him. Her fame never matched her talent. Now we know why. And as if that weren't enough, this shadow from the past might have even invaded J-Lo's most intimate present. Sources close to Suge Knight claim that the real cause of the crisis between Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck wasn't distance or incompatibility. According to him, the FBI allegedly showed Ben one of the supposed recordings made at Diddy's mansion, showing his wife in a compromising situation during one of the private parties. Imagine that. A man renewing his love with the woman of his life, and suddenly he's confronted with a video that changes everything. After that, they say, he never looked at her the same way again. And honestly, who would? The truth is, Jennifer Lopez is at the center of a dark web of accusations, silent alliances, and parties no one dared to describe. Now, with federal investigations deepening and new witnesses emerging, what was secret is beginning to come to light. And this time, neither fame, nor alibis, nor even silence may be able to protect her. She's here with us now, ready to share her side of the story. Natanya, thank you so much for having the courage to speak out. Since 1999, your life seems to have been turned upside down. And in recent days, all those painful memories have resurfaced, with even greater intensity. As soon as she began to speak, it was clear how Sean Diddy Combs hung on her every word. Not even the others present, visibly uncomfortable, could hide the palpable tension in the room. The controversy surrounding Jennifer Lopez took a new turn after her name was linked to the legal proceedings against Diddy. It all began with allegations that she helped hide the weapon used in a 1999 nightclub shooting. At the time, Diddy and J-Lo were present, but a rapper known as Shyne, Moses Michael Barrow, ended up taking the blame and spent nearly a decade in prison for it. With this connection coming to light, people began to scrutinize J-Lo's past, and what they found raised many questions. There are reports that she and Diddy were constantly together in cities like London and Paris, which could indicate a deeper bond than previously thought. Sources close to the investigation claim that federal authorities are preparing to broaden the scope of their inquiries into Diddy, including old cases that had, until now, remained buried. It was already known that he had been previously investigated for another incident in New York, but Jennifer's involvement in this particular case has caused surprise. In testimony given at the time, one of the victims stated bluntly, "Puffy shot me in the face." That same man was a key witness in the criminal trial. The question that arises is, if this is true, why did J-Lo remain silent for so long? Some suggest she's now seeking attention, but others believe the situation is far more serious than it appears. Despite multiple controversies, Diddy always spoke of Jennifer affectionately. In interviews, he even said she was one of the best partners he's ever had and that he regrets ruining everything. She also returned the compliments, mentioning him as one of the great loves of her life. But this romantic narrative began to crumble after her documentary, This Is Me Now, flopped with critics and audiences. Coincidentally, or perhaps not, this occurred around the same time she was embroiled in a highly publicized divorce. And it's precisely at this point that rumors suggest Diddy's shadow may have been a decisive factor in her split with Ben Affleck. During the peak of J-Lo and Diddy's romance, between 1999 and 2001, they were a constant presence in the tabloids. They walked red carpets at glamorous events and dominated the New York scene as a power couple. However, everything changed when a nightclub shooting left 3 people injured, including Natanya Rubin, who claims she was shot directly in the face by Diddy. After the incident, the couple tried to flee but were located shortly thereafter. Jennifer was quickly released, while Diddy remained in custody for a time. Despite the very serious accusations, he and his bodyguard were released thanks to Jennifer's testimony, in which she alleged both were innocent. One of the most controversial points was the fact that a witness saw a female hand throwing the gun out of the car window, something that was never fully clarified, especially since she was the only woman in the vehicle. When asked, she avoided answering. Her confidence in Diddy's acquittal was such that she publicly stated her belief in his innocence. Today, that's viewed with skepticism. Did she lie to protect her image and his? The one who actually took responsibility for the crime was Shyne, the stage name of Moses Michael Barrow, a young rapper just starting his career under Diddy's mentorship. He was convicted and spent 9 years in prison. Throughout all that time, there were no public signs of estrangement between J-Lo and Diddy. They even always spoke well of each other, which raises suspicions that this bond might hide something deeper. Now that Diddy is implicated in multiple lawsuits and faces investigations with international repercussions, the past is beginning to be unearthed with even more intensity. Shyne, the same artist who spent nearly a decade in prison, recently stated that Diddy ruined his life. According to him, besides being abandoned, he was betrayed. Diddy allegedly encouraged witnesses to testify against him. I was defending him and he turned his back on me. He practically sent me to prison, Shyne said in a shocking testimony. Interestingly, Natanja, the victim shot in the face, has never changed her story. From the beginning, she claimed Diddy was responsible for the shot. Meanwhile, Jennifer maintained that he wasn't even carrying a weapon. The contrast between these accounts raises doubts about who was telling the truth. The fact that J-Lo remained close to Diddy, even after everything, only fuels theories that he might have some kind of power over her. This hypothesis gained traction after statements made by Suge Knight, another emblematic figure in the rap world who spoke directly from prison. Suge claimed in a podcast that the tension in Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck's relationship might have been caused by highly compromising material, tapes confiscated by the FBI itself from Diddy's house. He asserts that these recordings go far beyond personal records. They would be proof that J-Lo knew the truth from the beginning. According to him, the images would show that the gun belonged to Diddy and that Jennifer lied when she said it was Shyne's. She allegedly covered for her partner to save him from jail, even knowing the consequences. Suge also poses another shocking theory. These tapes were supposedly given to Ben Affleck by authorities. Upon learning of their content, Ben allegedly decided to distance himself from Jennifer before the situation exploded publicly. This raises a disturbing question. Did Ben step aside to avoid further involvement? Could J-Lo be the next target? The investigations? The answers may soon come to light. And do you think Jennifer Lopez is just reaping what she sowed from decisions made over 2 decades ago? Was her relationship with Diddy just a stormy romance? Or is there much more? Behind this story, don't go away, because the next chapters promise to expose secrets that could change everything we know so far. We don't know for sure if this is irrefutable proof or just another urban legend, but the fact is, this story made many revisit the details of the Hollywood couple's separation. It becomes difficult to determine if it was the idea that J-Lo and Diddy maintained some kind of alliance, whether for public image or professional favors, that bothered Affleck so much. When that's combined with Jennifer's known profile, meticulous about her appearance, involved with big stars, and famous for her high standards, the result can only be explosive. To better understand this clash of personalities, it's worth remembering that 2 decades later, we're still debating whether Affleck decided to end things because Jennifer simply lived in the spotlight, something he always avoided. He himself has confessed he's not a fan of the exposure that comes with fame, unlike her, who always seems to have sought the paparazzi's flash. This difference in temperament could have been the spark for their estrangement. After acting together in Gilly back in 2002, they became one of Hollywood's most talked-about couples. The marriage proposal was in 2003. But the wedding was postponed, and the following year they announced their breakup. However, fate brought Jennifer and Ben back to each other, and in 2022, they reaffirmed their commitment at the altar already with children and other love stories in their past. Yet the fact that everything crumbled in just 2 years suggests complicated decisions on both sides. He, averse to glamour; she, completely immersed in it. The impact was even greater for Affleck upon discovering during an interview that Jennifer would share with the public letters he had written during their early encounters 20 years ago. For him, it was something private, something that should never have been made public. How can you accept recognition for a role you know you didn't play? He questioned at one point. This divergence in personal boundaries only reinforced the tension between them. At this point, rumors indicate that the tapes, those supposedly confiscated by the FBI from Diddy's house containing compromising images, precipitated the breakup once and for all. Look at the timeline. In March, authorities allegedly raided the mogul's property. By late July, Affleck was already signing the deed to a new $20 million mansion in Los Angeles. In August, shortly before the official separation announcement, he was already living in an apartment in Brentwood, while Jennifer was still vacationing in Europe. It seems clear that something big happened between the raid and the divorce filing. And it's not just anonymous informants questioning the facts. Well-known figures from the music world, like Jaguar Wright, have even stated that J-Lo should face legal consequences given her closeness to Diddy. For them, she remained silent to the point of becoming a silent accomplice. The question that remains is, in 1999, did Jennifer hide the truth? And even after 20 years, can she be held responsible for that? While some believe she would never tolerate wearing an orange jumpsuit, a symbol of prison, she now finds herself forced to distance herself from Diddy, severing ties she never imagined she'd have to cut.